Hummingbird takes us off the deep end every week here at the CCA workbench, Dave. And
right.
I see you got lots of great goodies
Well,
here
you know,
to talk about.
we're talking a lot. We got a lot of stuff here that catch amberjack, and the good thing about an amberjack, there's a lot of things that will catch an amberjack. They're very, how you should say, voracious. They like
Voracious.
they love to eat just about anything that gets in front of them, especially if it's a live thing. You know, when you're bottom fishing a lot, when you know, back in the day, you know, before amberjack got hammered, in the late 90s, they got hammered commercially pretty good. But you could go to just about any wreck in Florida, and it would be hard to get a good bottom fish up off the bottom through the amberjacks. And then, you know, they opened up a big commercial fishery for them, and they got hammered pretty quickly. And then, dang, it became hard to find an amberjack. And then they became protected again, and now they're starting to come back more and more. I mean, one of the first trips I took was at my job was down to the Keys to do a boat review, and we were catching 80 to 100-pound amberjacks in 400 feet of water off the Keys. And it was brutal. It was brutal because the amberjack, he doesn't stop fighting. When he eats something on the bottom, he stays on the bottom and doesn't want to come off the bottom, and stays just like a tuna. Right. He's like a yellowfin tuna or any of the big tunas, except he's a jackfish. And once you hook him, he's on the bottom. So you need really heavy gear to pull him up off the bottom, because he's going to fight all the way up. Now, you know, these new butterfly jigs, well, I call them new. I'm an old man, but the butterfly jigs work great on them. Anything that'll catch a grouper or a big snapper will catch an amberjack, especially, like I said before, if it's a live bait. A good thing to do, you know, is when you come up on a tall wreck or something, you're looking for things that come up off the bottom a pretty high, a high relief wreck, a high ledge. The higher it is, the more chance it has of holding an amberjack. And you can see them on your sounder. When you pull up onto the wreck, you can see them. They'll be suspended, you know, 30, 40 feet above the top of that thing. You say, oh, that's them. Right. Usually you'll know it's them when you first try to drop something to the bottom and hook them.
On the way down.
You know, they'll eat stuff on the way down, and plus they'll eat anything that you catch coming up. They love spoons, anything that's shiny, and, you know, little jigs. What's most important when you're catching an amberjack, though, is to figure out what your tackle can take and what your angler can take, especially as far as how much drag and stuff you want to put on it, and your hooks. Because if you're using really heavy tackle, you can't put a little limber hook on there. Right. Because you'll pull the hooks out. So if you're using a really heavy drag, you can't have a little light angler. You know, you gotta set your drag up to these fish. If you're in a place where you're catching, you know, amberjack over 50 pounds, don't get a little 10-year-old girl and stand her there with 30-pound and you know, crush her. You know, make sure she's set up properly with the right tackle to handle those kind of fish. Because these fish can crush you. They you know, they're not called, you know, that donkey for nothing. They pull and pull and pull. They're a wide-bodied fish, and they got that big, deep tail, and they can kick and kick, and they don't stop kicking. They're not that great to eat. You know, a lot of people, you know, they got hammered there commercially. They're moderately good to eat. You know, they're not a great fish to eat. If I catch them, I would end up smoking them usually back in the day, because that's how I like them best. But you can cook them anyway.
So Dave, I noticed you got some of these Williamson poppers. Well,
the good thing about an amberjack, even though he's down deep, you can chum them up to the surface. They're not afraid of a boat. That's another good thing about them. They're not real skittish. Once you anchor up on a wreck and you get a lot of chum in the water, they will come up to the boat. And once they're on the top, that's when you can throw, you know, a nice Williamson popper or something out.
Cool strikes.
Gets great. You know, it's the best action you can get from an offshore fish, in my opinion, you know, unless you're in a school of tunas that are doing that. But a tuna fish school's skittish, you know. You catch two and boo, they're gone. You can sit there and hammer a school of amberjack one after the other for, you know, a long day. But you can only keep one per person. And now, you know, in the Gulf of Mexico, it's gone up to 34 inches, I think now. Yeah, it's 34 inches since January. But, you know,
now,
you
that
can
34
get really big.
inches from the nose to the fork?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And,
cool.
You know, we get big ones in this state. You know, the world record's like 150 some odd pounds. I think the world record in Florida is 142. So, you know, we've got, as big as they get, you know, we got them here. So, you know, if you're wanting to catch something that'll test your tackle, you know, the amberjack's the thing to do it. And, you know, if you're out there, you know, you're going to want to use 80 to 100-pound test leader. And that's mainly for, you know, when you get it close and the guy reaches over to grab it and get it close to the boat. You know, you want your leader to hold. They don't have a whole lot of teeth.
You can steer him over.
Yeah, you just want to be able to pull him to the boat without having to, you know, break your leader, because he's going to be pulling all the way to the top.
Right.
Yeah, and you want to use, you know, preferably a live bait. you know, that'll be your first choice if you're targeting them. And the best thing to do is to catch whatever's there on the bottom. Use a sabiki rig or something small, you know, a heavy style sabiki rig, so you can catch little snappers and little grunts. Anything that you catch on that wreck and drop it on that same wreck, it's going to be a much better bait than what you catch somewhere else and bring it. Even though, you know, go ahead and use those hardtails or whatever to start off with, because if it's living and moving really quick, an amberjack can't resist. He's gonna pile on it.
I know.
So
I get it. I like it.